6:22 here, Big 550 KTRS. Scott Sherman, and he's our very own legal analyst. He fills in here when I call in sick, and he's you see him all over town. He's becoming quite a bit of an legal analyst all over town. Good morning, Scott Sherman.
Hello, sir.
You went to Michigan law so that we didn't have to, and you should actually teach law because you're a fantastic teacher of all this.
Clients say that all the time.
We should. You're here to break down the Denny Hastert story.
Yes.
Mike, we have a couple of questions. First off, outside of the Denny Hastert story, is it illegal that if I beat somebody up in a bar and I go to that person and I say, I'll give you $10,000, do not press charges against me, and I do that, is that illegal?
It might be.
Is there a way to do it so it is legal?
Yeah. All the time in all sorts of disputes, whether it's the one you just gave, some sort of quasi-criminal sort of assault case, or
right,
a dispute involving a contract between two companies or two individuals, settlement negotiations are almost always okay if there's a lawyer or some intermediary between the two parties saying we want to resolve this. Now, when you talk about extortion, and you gave an example, I think about the David Letterman situation a few years ago.
Right.
Where the guy that worked for CBS, whatever, 60 Minutes, went to Letterman and said, hey, I've got this screenplay with all of these allegations about a famous talk show host sleeping with his staffers. Oh, by the way, if you don't want me to publish this, give me $2 million. That became extortion.
Right.
If the guy had hired a lawyer and said to Letterman or to Letterman's counsel, hey, look, my guy has something here that may be embarrassing. If we work something out, then we'll sign a gag order and he won't say anything, a la Tiger Woods.
Right.
So I guess if you have Gloria Allred involved, it's not extortion.
Right.
And if you do it on your own, it might well be.
Okay, so now to the Denny Hastert case. At this point, we don't know if individual A used a lawyer with Denny Hastert. We do know that he hasn't been brought up on any type of embezzlement or extortion or blackmail charges.
Yeah, right. And what's interesting and strange about that is that the statute of limitations, which you'd think the Speaker of the House, even though he's not a lawyer, would have access to in the state of Illinois, in which he served and has lived his whole life, even on sexual assault, is 20 years from the date the victim turns 18. That doesn't mean that allegations or that sexual assault, A, didn't happen,
right,
and B, isn't the worst of the worst crimes.
Right.
Both of those things are true. However, even in a criminal context, you have a certain amount of time to bring a non-murder, non-homicide case. In the case of sexual assault of children, it's 20 years. In a civil suit, it's 20 years from the date they turn 18. So if this happened 30 or 40 years ago, there's no case. There's just the embarrassment of something becoming public.
And wouldn't Hastert have to agree that he was extorted in order for individual A to even be charged with
well,
any
not extorted.
type of...
He would have to agree that something happened, or the implication is that Denny Hastert admits something happened because he ended up paying him something.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, hushing up over something that is embarrassing but not a crime, the victim here, or let's say whoever this individual A is, they can't do anything. Hey, pay me or... what? I'll talk to the media in Chicago. I mean, maybe something like that might happen, but it's not. It's a little bit like the Letterman situation in that it could have been viewed as extortion, the payout, but the feds or even the local authorities weren't interested in that. Hastert's problem here seems to be one that's self-created. If Hastert had either A, said to this person, hey, whatever it is that you're saying happened, whether it did or it didn't happen, I'm not going to discuss this with you. Go talk to my lawyer. Here's a lawyer. You go get a lawyer. Those negotiations would not have broken any kind of federal or state laws. And then when the feds did come to talk to Hastert, and this seems to be the biggest issue that he ran into in this, had Hastert said to him, A, here's what we're really doing, or B, probably way smarter, here's my lawyer's card.
Right.
I've got 8,000 lawyers, including the judge presiding over my case, who've donated money to me.
Right.
Call them, get off my front porch. Then there's no there's no lying to the feds. Lying to the feds seems to get everyone. It gets Martha Stewart, Scooter Libby. I mean, people that work at the smartest, richest, most powerful people. Blagojevich.
Right.
Well, he's not the smartest or richest. But, all of these folks seem to get caught in the dragnet of lying to the FBI or lying to the feds, which, as you so aptly pointed out, is more extortion than the underlying alleged extortion.
Yes.
When the feds threaten you,
yes,
and you don't play by their rules and you don't play Simon Says with them, they bury you unless you keep your mouth shut. And that seems to be an abuse. However, when you're a high profile, and what Speaker of the House isn't the most high profile, especially a guy that's been in politics in Illinois, where no fewer than 7 governors did time for prison. This is one of the places where you should know, especially in Chicago where he grew up, you don't screw with these people, and there's corruption everywhere, that when this situation comes up, it might be horrifically embarrassing, and it's immoral and disgraceful and despicable. You're trying to keep it hushed. If you want to do that, Denny Hastert, if you want to do that, or anybody.
All right, last question here, because we're short on time.
We are?
So he lies to the feds. Mistake
Allegedly,
number one,
yeah.
allegedly, and then secondly, he structures the payments out of the bank to avoid detection by the feds, because he doesn't want the feds to know what he's doing. But he wasn't doing anything illegal with that money.
No.
He wasn't giving it to the drug dealers or ISIS or anybody else.
Insurance companies structure settlements all the time. That's why J.G. Wentworth exists, so that people can get all their money. Structuring is not the problem. That reporting aspect, he could have reported it anyway. There was no reason to structure it. This is like a book right out of FIFA, except they're way more overtly corrupt. FIFA makes Blagojevich look like Abraham Lincoln, and then you've got Denny Hastert that makes Blagojevich look like I don't know, Einstein. I mean, this is just dumb, and this is certainly what he did was horrible. But legally, he could have avoided all of this by simply setting up through a lawyer some sort of settlement, or just tell the guy, look, say whatever you're going to say about me. I'll defend it.
It's a really interesting story. All right, Scott Sherman, thanks for checking in. Filling in anytime soon?
Next time you're sick, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Scott Sherman.